Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today, I am very honored to have Finnian with us. Uh, I know that we haven't spoken a lot, Finnian, but by reading the book that you wrote and like learning a lot about your journey, for me, it's like you are already a brother from another mother. So I really enjoy the book that you have. We are going to talk a little bit more about that during the show. But I would love to start, apart from the book, asking you what are you doing now and what is like the amazingness that you're bringing to the world right now.
Well, thanks so much, Alejandro. I look forward to meeting your mother so I can have that brother from another mother experience. So, all right. Well, I'm in a really beautiful time in my life right now. And if anyone who has read the book or will read the book, they'll know that 7 years ago I went through a very transformative period of my life, which at the moment, at that time, was very confronting. It was a big dismantling of my life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I believe life happens in 7-year cycles. And this last 7 years was all about personal transformation, evolution, breaking things down. Now I'm back in a very expansive cycle again. And
Mm.
I've got a couple of things happening. Obviously, my book just launched, which is a representation of the work that I've done, and now it's a methodology that I'm bringing it out to organizations all around the world. This intentionality methodology, a feelings first approach to living and leadership, which is I'm having so much fun bringing it, speaking into big audiences, bringing it and really embodying it through organizations and showing that there's a different way that we could be leading and a different way we could be running culture. So that's one piece. Another piece, I have got back into entrepreneur business again, building a big business. And I've got a really revolutionary wellness and hospitality brand that we've created, myself and two other business partners. And it's called Cascada, and it's a thermal wellness resort. So our first one
Nice.
is literally launching in a month's time in Portland, and it's 35,000 square feet that we've built of different thermal pools with a wellness area, which is beautiful, with 65 unique wellness classes a week of yoga and sound and breath, and then 100 boutique hotel rooms and a restaurant and a cafe, and just an immersive experience. So that's
Wow.
definitely an incredible experience to be part of. It's a physical manifestation of intentionality, and it's something which we are very confident we're going to build the global's leading wellness and hospitality brand. So that's my second project. And then the third, which is ultimately the most important, is I'm about to have my first baby boy in a couple of weeks. So it's a very special time right now. I am using a lot of intentionality, reminding myself what really matters right now. And what really matters is myself being present with my beautiful partner, creating a great nest and being grounded. Even though there's parts of myself which wants to be doing some crazy adventures, I remind myself, no, this is what matters right now. Savor it. And even this morning, we slept in a little bit. We don't normally do that much, but we're like, let's savor the bedtime.
I love that, and that's why for me it's very interesting your journey, because I have two little kids now. They are still little, like one is 4 and the other is 6. I am enjoying this part of my life also, like in
Mhm.
this process of wow, this is amazing. I work as a high performance coach. So for me, a lot of the things that you are teaching, like I come from the corporate world and have been for a long time there, like more than 15 years in different countries. So listening and reading a lot of the things that you are doing, including like I love, and I'm going to just start to flow with what we
Please
are going
do.
to do today, but how you are like putting breath work in everything that you are doing and how that breath work transform everything. But I want to start first before that's like part of my emotion that being here talking with you. But um, I want to start going back in your life where for example, when you started to talk about like being blind 7 years ago and some other things, how that developed the version of Finnian that we can see today, how that created like, okay, you have some belief before, how you needed to transform those beliefs to become the person that you are right now, that is talking to the world like, okay, guys, intentionality is the way. That's what I have found until now. So tell me a little bit more, like from where are you coming and how that became the intentionality journey.
Thank you. So I had a conversation with a good friend the other day, and he rang me up after he was reading my book, and he said, "I need help with this." And he shared that in the first page of the book, he goes, "Remember when you were doing all these things? You were skiing 100 days a year. You'd sold a business. That's basically the description that I wrote in the start of the book. And you realized that you didn't actually, that wasn't for you. How did you know that the next thing was for you? Like, how did you
Yeah.
determine that?" And this is the interesting part of my story is if you actually look at my life right now and what my life was at that time or when I started writing the book, they nearly look identical. I'm still living in a ski resort, skiing a lot of days of the year. I'm with a partner I love. I'm still in business. I'm still doing entrepreneurism. The difference, though, is the approach that I'm coming from.
Mm,
At that time, I didn't fully know it, but all my drivers were coming from a very fear-based program. They were coming from places that I'm going to be abandoned. I'm not safe. I'm not enough. And it was
mm,
driving a lot of my decisions.
mm,
Now, a lot of people would say, well, you realize that, so now you change your whole life. And I went, no, actually, my life, those things, I did want to do them. I love skiing. I love doing business. I love helping people. The difference is now I don't need any of it.
mm,
I don't need any of this to fulfill me, to make me feel safe or make me feel worthy. I know that at my core is who I am. And that's because for the last 7 years, I went on a deep, committed, a lot of commitment with a lot of intention to go on this transformational journey. And I define spirituality as just getting to know yourself, because once you do, you realize there's something bigger. And that's what I've realized. I've realized, I am worthy because I'm connected to this divine energy source that's
mm,
available to us. So now, as I'm the difference, you said, what's the difference? Is there's just a difference in energy. You'll feel that with me. A
mm,
lot of the concepts that I might have been talking about before, maybe I wasn't fully embodying. I wasn't
mm,
in complete integrity. But now there's no question. You'll feel that difference with me. And also, I have no need to impress. Have no need to trick myself anymore. This is who I am. I'm still learning a lot. I don't profess that I'm perfect. I still have my struggles. I have my challenges. However, because of my intent and my commitment, I know it's really great. Now, I want to correct you. And in a casual, I feel like we've got a very open chat. I'm not someone who's saying intentionality is the way.
okay.
I never want to force that upon anyone. I believe there's many different ways to navigate life. However, what I've distilled in intentionality is that this might be an approach that you might want to try on. And
Mm,
when you try this on, don't trust me, just try it on and feel what happens for you. Notice what happens in your life. And you might find that, wow, life could be so much more expansive. I could feel so much more peace and love and joy in my life. And I could also be growing my businesses more with all these ways with ease. So it's it's not my way. It's a sort of like a concept. Intentionality in itself exists on itself, and it's a great way. So maybe just try it on and see.
I love what you are saying. So I am also, and you refer to Dr. Hawkins a lot in
Yes.
the book, and I also a real fan of what he created, including the map of consciousness and all of that. And also another thing that happened to me it's a few months ago. I had the opportunity to do like a coaching call, if I can say coaching call to this, with horses.
Oh, I'm beautiful. I do this sometimes.
and having the like it's like okay, I need to have an intention to really move the horses to do the things that I want them to do, and that's what happened in that coaching call, if we can say it like that. Uh, and I that's one of my first times that I had this access to think about the intention, and me coming from the world of coaching, and I was thinking that I am already the expert in coaching and I know what is intention and I know how to work this. And I had the horses with all my intentions very clear, doing nothing for a while. Like for 30, 40 minutes, they were doing whatever they wanted, but not my intention and the things that then started to happen. But I realized there is a lot of information behind what is really intention and and how we can connect to that and why that is really important. And that's one of the things that attracts me a lot to the book that you created, to know a little bit more about that. So I would love to start even with the explanation of, okay, what is intention and why intention matters that much.
Beautiful. So I'm really glad that you had the horse experience, and I'll touch on that soon because I've had experiences with it as well. So, uh, intentionality I define as identifying how you want to feel and then taking incremental steps towards making that a reality. It's a combination of getting clear. It's like the masculine energy of like, this is my intent. That's intention. There's a masculine energy. Then you actually have to take a step to do it, and then you need to allow it. That's the yin feminine energy. So
Mm.
we move towards the direction, but then there's a process of allowing. Now I want to bring this back to the horses, because the horses, for a lot of people who maybe are like, what are they, what's he talking about? He's having a coaching session with horses.
Yeah.
But we do it. I've done this with young presidents or YPO people. And what the horses do is they they give you back what you're emanating to them. So they bring awareness of what energy you are bringing in. So I'll have 8 people in a YPO forum, and we'll go in there and one person's like very anxious. So then the horse becomes very anxious. Another person is like very like stubborn, and the horse becomes stubborn. Another person is very quiet and peaceful, and then the horse just naturally is in that state. So they're just energy mirrors to you. And a lot of the time, we do not know what energy we are emitting out to others. And that's the first part of any journey is identify, take responsibility for your energy. We have the ability to regulate our energy at any point of times. I can increase my energy just by bringing breath to myself, by tapping into the ground, by connecting to the earth. So we don't need anything external to bring us more energy. We also need to realize that the outside is a representation of the inside.
Mm.
External is a representation of the internal. So if you're not liking the energy that's being around you, perhaps take a responsibility and look at what energy you're emitting out there. If you keep getting taken advantage of, maybe you're emanating the energy of someone who'll be taken advantage of. So that's a big exploration. Now, you noticed that for a period, you had an intent, but it still wasn't working with the horses because it can't stay in a thinking state. It's not good enough to stay in
Mm.
the intellect of intent. We actually have to have a felt experience with it. That's where we
Mm.
need to combine the feeling state. And then once you really embodied that intent, if it went from your head into your body, you embodied it, then the horses came to party. So that's really the practice, is making sure that you are not just staying in the intellect, you're actually embodying this and applying in the life. And this is one of the biggest challenges in the modern day world is, and this is what David Hawkins talks about a lot, is the intellect serves us until it doesn't serve us anymore. And it actually gets in the way of progression. And our intellect has become very strong. And
Mm.
there's so much information out in the world right now where we can keep going, oh, yeah, I understand that. I've heard that. And how many people go to a conference and they're like, oh, yeah, I've heard that. I get that. But what's the point of understanding it if you're not actually applying? Because there's so many people who walk out of that conference and they don't do those behaviors because they didn't fully know it. Know it, going from a place of understanding to knowing, is when you have a felt experience and now there's no question. You're like, oh, yep, I now know that and I'm applying it in my life.
and and I'm going to go deeper where you are going right now because I really love what you are saying, and I believe there is a big gem of what you are saying here. Is I have the intention. Okay, that's talking about the horses, but even to anything that is happening in my life, because at the end, the idea of learning with the horses is how I can apply it in my life too, and how I can connect to that energy and that level of frequency where I can really start to attract things in my life. And okay, I have this idea of I have the intention that I want to transform the world or I want to attract. I want to transform the world. Let's stay with that idea. That intention. If I go with Dr. Hawkins, he starts to talk about that's the emotion that I need to be living there is feeling optimistic. Like I am completely optimistic about that intention, and I need, and the process or the level is I am in willingness. That's the willingness of feeling there. So intellectually I can be there. What are the steps where I need to start to feel or do to stop being in my head thinking like, yeah, that's my intention, but it's not happening, I don't see it anywhere. Like I have this space of, okay, that's already the intention, I put it to the universe, I put it to source. Now I want to relax and just see it happen.
Yeah. So what we need to combine with intention is commitment.
Mm,
Commitment that no matter what is showing up in your current life, you stay connected to that intention. You believe in that intention. You have got yourself into a state of a felt perception where you're visualized whatever it is that you're trying to create, whatever intention, and you feel it. And in that moment, you can't question that it doesn't exist. You've created it in such a state where you're like, you come out and it's almost you're a little bit confused. What? I haven't got that yet. Like that hasn't existed. That's when you know you've created in a powerful moment. And the incredible thing is the subconscious, which has access to the universal mind. I break up the layers of the mind in the book. Doesn't know time or space. It doesn't know the difference between happening in the imagination and it really happening. It's just
mm,
whatever the strongest emotion is. So first responsibility is get so connected to it. And that's why you'll see a lot of athletes practice over and over again, visualizing them like swimming the race and imagining they're touching that down and they look up the clock and they're number one. And
mm,
when it happens eventually in the real world, it just feels like deja vu. It's they've already experienced it. It's just, yeah, we just had to do that. So that's the first part, is like you need the felt perception. The second is you need to be committed and you need to take the steps of someone who would be doing that intention. If you knew that you had that intention to create that or win this, what would someone have done who was guaranteed to win that? What would they do beforehand? Well, they probably trained, they probably got good advice, they took action. So you still have to take the action. And
mm,
then really the third part is, and it's similar to commitment, but it's that idea of faith. It's that idea that even when I don't see it, I trust in it. I
mm,
stay connected. And that's that energetic experience. We are all just energy, effectively magnets. We're either repelling or attracting things into our life. That's where we need to go back and go, are you bringing this energy into your world? If you start going, oh, it's not happening, you go closed, you literally physiologically, you
mm,
look
mm,
down, you focus internal, and then you don't see the opportunities. It might just be around the corner, the thing that you're wanting, but you couldn't
mm,
see it because you're focusing on your story and that drama. So having that faith and that trust enables us to be more open and more expansive. And then effectively, we become this magnetic energy, and then we're just bringing it towards us. And once you get really good at this, you'll be fascinated with what you can do in life. You'll be like, whoa, it's almost like you can move realities. Suddenly you're like, huh, here I am. And in that moment, you actually start knowing, oh, this is a manifestation coming to fruition right now that I even forgot that I did 2-3 years ago. I did it so
Yeah.
strongly, but now it's happening. And it's almost like you start anticipating the time. Like I was in a conversation the other day, and in the middle of the conversation, it was almost, I saw exactly what was about to happen. I did. And I went, he's going to ask me this right now. Here's my manifestation coming to fruition. And I just like chuckled, and then it all played out perfectly.
I love that because I know that right now there is a lot of information about how you can manifest quicker and what is that. And that's exactly what we are talking here is this part of intentionality is okay, start to imagine. So in this imagination and visualization, if we have people like this is about businesses, but also normal people that is listening right now, and they are in this process of like, okay, this is the next time that they are talking about visualization, but I don't know how to do visualization. Why that is so important? If I am in the middle of these struggles, how I can change my mind and start to see the different things, how I can release all the stuff that is really bothering me right now and not allowing me to see the other reality that I can see. What are maybe even an example of things that happen in your life where you were maybe in the same place that they are right now, and how you started to learn this process of, yeah, I put the intention, I visualize, I connect and emotionalize myself, like I
Yes.
start to be very happy, and suddenly these things start to happen.
Great. So when I help bring awareness to entrepreneurs, business leaders that this stuff is real, I just take them back to the time when they were considering starting their business.
Mm,
Whenever you started the business, nothing existed. There was nothing.
yeah.
However, what did we start doing? We had a vision. We started going, oh, there's a better way of doing this business. While you're in your company that you're working for, you're like, oh, there's such a better way to do this. Or you might be wondering, you know what? Imagine if we had a phone that could also have music on it. And there was, in that moment, that was the moment of creation. It
Mm,
wasn't when it physically occurred. It was in this vision world, in the quantum world. Now, we all know this because we all started at some point like that. But unfortunately, we forget it on the way. We forget it
yeah.
on the journey that the thing that started this business could still be used to keep growing this business. But for some reason, once we get in business, we adopt this philosophy that, oh no, business is very logical. It's a very formulaic. There's no place for imagination in business. And I just go, that's just crazy. Every invention has been imagination. Like everything that we take for granted right now at one point seemed crazy to someone else. The fact that you and I, like, let's just go back 30 years. The fact that you and I in different countries are having this incredible communication and we're broad streaming it out to millions of people, you'd be like, that's crazy. When we're flying, a plane flies over our home. We don't look up and go, that's wild that a metal chunk of metal was flying through the air. We just take it for granted. So
Yeah.
why can't we do that right now all the time? So that's my first step that I always remind myself. And I had to do that with myself as well, was I had to remind myself that I've done this multiple times before. I just
Mm,
have forgotten because
mm,
I had a moment where I was feeling lost and I was feeling down and I was starting to question, well, what next? And then I just went, well, let's start playing with it. Let's start exploring it. And every situation, like this book, how did this book come into fruition? At some point, I realized a lot of people have been asking me to write a book for a long time, and I just didn't feel ready. I felt I wanted to be in a place where there was no doubting myself anymore. Like I was
mm,
full embodiment of intentionality. That was
mm,
my point before I felt safe to send that transmission out. Then I go, okay, I'm ready to write a book. And you start the journey of exploring, and there's so much content out there about how it's so hard to get a book deal. You have to have 100 proposals to get one book deal, and then even then most of them don't work. Lots of negativity. Now I could have bought into that content, and that's what most people do. Instead, I went, hey, I don't abide by those rules. I'm going to go into my own place. So I dropped into a manifestation, and I imagined myself having a book deal with a publisher that I loved and having it just feeling great. And I did that for a few nights, and it felt wonderful. Then it was like a knowingness. It was like a transition from a place where I went, I know I've got this. Then I reflected, well, who would I want to publish my book? And there was only one. There was only one publisher. It was Hay House. Hay House is the publisher of David Hawkins, of Eckhart Tolle, Joe Dispenza, all the great teachers, spiritual teachers. So I felt that resonance. And then I dropped into the manifestation again the next night. And then the next day, I had an insight. I went, well, if I've done this, how am I going to make this happen? And I wondered, well, I wonder if I know anyone from Hay House or like anyone who's been connected. I looked on LinkedIn and there was one connection, and it was someone I met the previous month, and I had this energetic connection with her. We reached out, and literally within a month, I had a book deal with Hay House. Like,
wow.
No, I didn't apply to anyone else, didn't talk to anyone else. It was a one-time only conversation. Now, how did that happen? It came through me being in that felt perception first. I made it that there was no choice. I knew it, but then I still had to take action. I was committed. I had to follow through the insights, even though they seemed a little bit strange at the time. I was like, oh, how is this going to lead there? I had no idea how it was going to lead there. But before I knew it, I was there. Now, not all of them happened that quickly. I just had another one, which happened like I put into place a few years ago. I've always wanted to do I did a documentary with National Geographic a long time ago, and it was the best thing I've ever done. And I always went, well, I want to do a transformational show and bring breath to the world. And I did this manifestation a long time ago, and here I am meeting the head of a major platform, and we're having a conversation, and then he brings it up. And I was like, wow, here I am in this manifestation. And there was no way, like the set of events for me to be in front of him having this conversation, there's no way I could have even planned that. Doesn't matter how strategic I am, there was no planning. It was just one of those magical moments where, and it wasn't, I didn't doubt myself. I went, of course I'm here right now, and I'm going to take this opportunity. This is my moment.
I really enjoy what you are teaching, and I am going to be like a little bit in the dark side just for a little bit, because I know that what you are talking is real, really real, and the way it works is exactly like that. Specifically when we are constantly thinking and creating and feeling like energetic, like, okay, this is happening. I already put it in the world and this is going to happen. So that, but I also know that sometimes when we're in the negative part and this roller coaster, that instead of improving, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And yeah, look, everything is getting worse all the time, and it's not really improving. And I am trying to use the intentionality that Alejandro and Finnian are talking, but I don't feel that I don't understand like the way to get out of this negativity path. So, and maybe it's part of breath work, or what are the things that you recommend to start, like maybe baby steps that can start to help you to enter in the level of, okay, at least I feel alive,
Yes,
before I was.
I fully get it, Alejandro, and I'm glad you brought that up. So a lot of people say, oh, this doesn't work for me. And there's some truth to it. And what I discovered was it won't work for you if you have negative beliefs that are in contradiction to what you're creating. So if you have a scarcity belief, doesn't matter how much you're trying to manifest and bring that into fruition, you can't trick the body. The body will feel the scarcity loop. So what we need to do is, before we can go on the creation mode, we have to do some recoding. We have to uncover that perhaps we've got some faulty code in our operating system. Just like sometimes we have an app on our phone and it's buggy. We don't throw out the phone. We go, oh, the app has some faulty code into it. And we don't even think the app's broken. We just go, oh, maybe the coder wasn't very good. So let's get rid of that coder. Let's get a new coder in and let's start replacing the code. And then it'll be fixed. This is very similar in how we operate. We, like a phone, we're a hard drive, then we have programs downloaded on it. And then that code that forms those programs have traditionally been in our life, have been our parents, have been education, religious organizations, the media, which have downloaded information into us, the code. Now, some of that code, if we were lucky, has been great. Like, look at it. All leaders, all entrepreneurs, we've got some good code in there. Like, we know how to make decisions. We know how to create certain things, which is great. But then we have some other code which we might have absorbed, which may not actually be that accurate. And we've all known that because there's been certain things, if you got older, you realize that things that you used to believe that your parents would say, you realize that's not true at all. Like that's not true. Now, you don't shame yourself. You just go, oh, I'm going to put in a new program and believe that way. So effectively, if we're in a situation where we're not getting what we want, we're not getting what we desire, we have an intention to be someone, like we want to be a very good leader who is compassionate and understanding, caring, but then we keep yelling at our team members or not engaging them, that's a sign that we're in conflict with ourselves. We have a conscious desire, but our subconscious, which is more powerful, has some programs which are working against us. So in that moment, we have to take ownership. We have to first we have to bring awareness to what's happening. We then need to own it. And then we need to go through a commitment for the recoding process. All recoding begins with the breath, because the nature of a program is that it's automatic. It just happens. And that's that reactionary mindset. But the problem is, we know that those reactionary behaviors are what's causing us so many challenges and conflict in our life. So when we take a breath, it gives us an opportunity to go, do I want to go with that automatic behavior? But I know where that goes, so perhaps I could choose a different behavior which will lead to another place. And that's where we go from a reactionary to a responsive mindset. And it's something which I call the circuit breakers, and I go very detailed in the book. It's the idea that often energy comes from the outside that we can't control. And that stimulates things that then puts too much power into the system, and then we short circuit, and before we're not functioning. Now, in an electrical circuit, in a home, we put circuit breakers in to protect us from that. So energy from the grid would come in. It was too much. It would censor, oh, danger, danger, danger. Let's shut off the power to the circuit and then turn it back on when we want so that lights don't blow. We need to be doing the same thing. And what I realize is we're born with this. The breath is the circuit breaker. In that moment, we notice, oh, a little bit of a sensation. We always know it. We always know it just before we're about to do something. We feel the sensation. And then we suddenly, it's like, ugh. It's like I say something that we regret, or we do something that we regret. Instead, when that sensation comes up, we can train ourselves, which is funny. We actually create another program around circuit breakers to take a breath, take a few breaths. And in that moment, we have suspension. It's almost like we suspend time. You know, those movies where it's like on the Matrix and it's just like everything slows down. That's what we do. And we take a breath and we focus and we allow, and we're like, okay, a lot of energy is coming in. What do I need to do? Do I need to take some space, or do I just need to regulate? Or what I want people to do is connect to their desired feelings that they want for that situation. This is where the intent happens, so important early. You need to define the intention. So I'll give you an example. In my relationship, because I think people feel this all the time in relationships. Energy comes in, and before you know it, you're in conflict and you don't know what's happening. And we know we don't want to hurt our partners, but we do because of that. So I want to feel peaceful, playful, and connected in my intimate relationship. So I focus on those feelings at the start of the morning. I remind myself every so often, my partner does something. She looks at me the wrong way, doesn't acknowledge me, doesn't do something, which then triggers this program of, oh, she doesn't love me. She's not great enough. And then I say something which is unkind, or I shut down, and I know where that path goes. The path does not lead to peaceful, playful, and connected. It goes to everything the opposite. Instead, when that happens now, I take some breath. I'm taking the breath and I'm suspended. And then I go, okay, peaceful, playful, and connected. I focus on the feelings, not what she's doing, because I can't control it. I just focus on that feeling. I want to feel this way. It's putting my feelings over anything else. So what do I need to do right now in order to get that feeling? And it might be I smile at her. I go in and give her a hug. When I give her a hug, naturally oxytocin gets transmitted between us. And then we naturally feel better and we might have a laugh. And what happens is we start feeling peaceful, playful, and connected. And in that moment, we are overriding the programs that create the story that she doesn't love me or anything. So after a period of time, I don't really have that problem anymore. Like I don't have to even think about those feelings, because it naturally just comes up because I've trained myself to do it.
I love that, and there is big things that I bring, like, and that's something that I also teach when we are talking about having these three words, that what is the intention is having the clarity first, and that's the idea of this intention of, okay, I know exactly what is my best version when I am in a relationship. That means I am peaceful, playful, and so that really helps to really connect and find what you are saying. Uh, and the second part that I am hearing from what you are saying is, I am in this negative. Sorry. In the second part, what I want to ask you is, I am in that negative side. Normally, the programs that we have in our subconscious are things that we believe are true. Uh, like, they are who I am, and that's it. So
Oh, yes,
it's
so true.
difficult to realize that that's the what is happening. So even like one step back to understand, like, I love what you are saying with the breathing, how that can recode. That is really powerful. But even a little bit before that, just the way you used to really realize that is okay. I don't see the results. I don't see things happening, but I know that I need to be aware. But for me, that's my reality and that's my truth.
Yeah. Well, that's the sad thing, though, Alejandro, is people create prisons for themselves. They create a story that's just the way I am. I'm hardwired that way. I can't change, or people don't change. If you buy into these sayings, that's
Yeah,
exactly what's going to happen in your life. Like, your belief will always outweigh my belief. Your reality is your reality. So
yeah,
we need to question those things. And that's been the biggest path of my journey, is I question all my truths, because
yeah,
what we think is a truth a lot of the time is just a thought that we've ruminated on over and over again. Eventually that evokes a strong enough feeling that then the subconscious goes, all right, I'll create a belief around that, because that's the problem with the subconscious. It's a supercomputer. It's the most powerful thing we have, but it doesn't have the ability to juice between truth and untruth. It just takes on the directions from the strongest emotion. And that's the funny thing. There's all these people out there who say, I'm just a logical person. Lie. You're not. There is no logical person. Our
yeah,
subconscious is full of programs that were created from emotions that were actually created mostly in our first 7 years of our life. So most of the logical decisions that you're running your life off were off an interpretation of a child. So that's the first thing, is
yeah,
question. And I always just want people to question their thoughts. A lot of people think that I don't have any negative thoughts. I have some really negative thoughts. I have some crazy stuff that comes up on here. If you were in my head and listened to it, you'd be like, whoa, that's not great. But the difference is I don't believe them anymore. I don't identify. I just go, oh, that's an
yeah,
interesting thought. I don't engage with it. And instead, I focus on what is it I want to feel and what's going to bring that more into my life. And then I focus on that experience and I take responsibility, and I'm questioning all the time. And I have good beliefs, but I also love it when I go a 180 on my belief, because that means I'm growing. That means I'm open. But too many people are too attached to their beliefs. And we have to realize that there's actually a condition for that. It's called cognitive dissonance. It's where we'll twist information to support our beliefs, because
Yeah.
the subconscious is all about energy. It's energy efficiency. So it wants to go, well, I don't want to create a new program. That's a lot of energy. I created this to save energy. So then it will just twist it. And we see that with some of those reading tests where you automatically, it's like incorrect spelling, but the words are in there because it's a pattern interrupter. So we keep looking for previous patterns, which is great if your patterns are really strong. But a lot of our patterns that we've created aren't very well. Like we have evidence of, we had a few experiences where I can't trust people. So then we look for patterns to see where we can't trust people. But then there's another person who actually just believes that they can trust people. And who's the better leader? Who's getting better experiences in life? If you don't trust people, life is miserable. Like we're all dependent on each other. So that's where we have to question it. And it's very hard sometimes to help people do that when they're really in it. When people are really in it, I agree, you can't go through the intellect because you can't think your way out of a problem. And that's why, like, there's one path, which is through repetition. It's being very intentional, being very aware of how your behaviors are linking to your feelings. Sometimes you need to go have an energy intervention. And this is what I reference in the book. It's almost it's a process where it's so ingrained in you. It's almost, you feel like it's hardwired, it's deep, but it's not. You can still deep clean it. It's almost like getting that the turbocharged water cleaner and going, all right, I'm going to get this out. The normal hand washer, you'd think, oh, if this is impossible, you can't get this stain out. But to the industrial cleaner, you can. So that thankfully in life, there's opportunity where you can do, whether it's a big breath journey, whether it's doing a sensory deprivation experience, whether it's doing a pilgrimage, a vision quest, whether it's doing plant medicine, that enables you to have such an intense form of energy where it dislodges it. And you have an opportunity to be free of that old coding and then create new coding. So it's a combination. So we just have to be honest with ourselves. If you're stuck, sometimes you need to go have one of those interventions.
A quick question. I understand you have this book that really has a lot of, it's not only like, okay, this is all the information that you need to know, but it's also like, okay, we finished learning about this, stop. This is the process to start to implement this and start to put in action what you are saying. And that happens in every chapter that you have. And that's something that I really love. At least in my side, I haven't seen that in maybe in 2 or 3 books, but not more than that. Normally, it's like, okay, this is all information. You are overloaded, and then it's like I don't know how to how to implement all the things that I was overloaded. So this is a way, like, okay, you read, and it already has some tools and some work that you can be doing during the process of reading. And if you take a year reading the book, it's okay because you are implementing. The idea is to implement, not only to learn and to. That's the way that you have right now, or it's like other ways also, like maybe a program, a coaching program, or listening to you in going to some speaking places, or what are the things that you have right now?
Well, I'm so glad you identified that, Alejandro, because that, obviously, my book is about intentionality. So I had to be very intentional on how I wrote this. And I didn't want people to have that intellect dopamine rush of like, oh yeah, I read another book and it feels great. We can read 100 books and not apply any of it. So I wanted people to go through the journey and have that felt experience and go, oh, this actually works. Because if I could get you to have one experience within the first chapter and you try it on and you out, wow, this works, then you're going to get more motivation to keep going with it. So what we've then done to support it is we have an app which has all the different breaths, circuit breakers, and all these tools then you can apply into your life as well. And that way you have me in your room with you. So that's one way. That's the easiest way. And then I do work with companies and individuals where I basically will work with the CEO or founder. We go on a personal transformation, and then we incorporate the intentionality methodology across their company. And that's what I'm focused on, peak performance and high performing teams. And I absolutely love it.
I love that. How people can connect with you, know more about you, know more about all this work that you are doing. It's like, oh, I love everything that you are saying. I would love to know more. How they can connect with you.
Thank you. So the best place would go to is www.intentionality.com, and that will have the app and it will be the process. And then if you want to communicate with me on social media, it's the Finnian Kelly.
I love that. So we have people that have been listening to us today and maybe started at the middle, at the end, or they forgot half of what we said today. What is one thing that you want them to remind? Like, okay, maybe you forgot about everything, but this is what I want you to remember from this program today. What is that?
All right. I'm going to give you 3, but very quickly. First is that we have everything we need. We're born with it in order to build the life we're searching for. And that's the breath and the universal consciousness. Second is what we're really looking for in life is a feeling. We're not looking for an outcome. We're looking for a feeling. And then the third is that we all have choice. We all have agency. It's always possible. You can completely transform your life as long as you're intentional with it.
Yeah, and I love, like, at the end, in my own words, that means I am taking responsibility of what is happening in my life. Everything is happening through me and not to me, and that starts to changes everything. It's
It
like that
does.
problem that I have with my wife, for example, is not because of her. It's because of what I am doing and how I am attracting that. Uh,
Exactly.
so
If everyone just did that, you've just completed your world transformation. You set your intention of you want to transform the world. If we just got everyone taking responsibility for their own life, that is world transformation.
exactly, and it happens with everything, with our lives, our business, our families, our kids. So, Finian, for me was too quick the time to today, but I hope that we can have you very soon here again to continue this journey of intentionality. I know that we thought just some glimpses of what really you have in the book, and everybody, if I am reading that book, I haven't finished, but I am like ruminating, like eating like every part of the book, and I am really enjoying that. So thank you for your gift to the world with this. Really appreciate it. And thank you for being here with us today. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, brother. And if there's enough demand from the audience, people reaching out, let's go deeper. Let's go even deeper next time.
Yeah, I really love to do that, and that's the way for me for this show is being authentic in the process. So thank you very much for today. Thank you everyone for listening to us today. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Finian and everybody, thank you. See you next time. Bye.